This is Jarrod Horak for the RunawayHorse.com, and this is my final look at the 2022 Kentucky Derby. They've drawn the post positions now, and we're just a few days away from the big race. My analysis is complete for the Kentucky Derby, so I have that. If you just want the analysis of the Kentucky Derby, that is available at the RunawayHorse.com on my sales page. I'm also doing the full card. That will be done tomorrow, and Kentucky Oaks Day stakes races as well. So I'm covering all those products at the RunawayHorse.com. If you're interested in any of that, go over to my sales page. If you're interested in looking at my Kentucky Derby and Oaks blogs and seeing all my videos, they're all on my Kentucky Derby 2022 page at therunawayhorse.com. Now we're going to get right into the Kentucky Derby. And they drew the post positions, and some people may be a little bit concerned. Like if you liked Mo Donegal, he's got the inside post. But do remember that they're using a new starting gate. They've used it the last couple of Kentucky Derbies. The first year they used it, there were only 15 horses, but it's one gate now. It's one continuous gate. It's not a gate where they had 14 stalls and then an auxiliary gate that they had to put in. It's just one continuous gate, and the inside seems to have more room since they did that. So I wouldn't be concerned. Mo Donegal's a closer. He's going to be coming from off the pace anyway. He saved ground from the inside post in the Wood Memorial. He just has to avoid getting shuffled back. Maybe some people were concerned that Epicenter drew post 3 if you liked him. Well, I don't think that's going to be a big issue, especially if he just goes right to the front. We've seen it in the Kentucky Derby other years. Some jockeys will get passive. They don't want to get into a speed duel, and then you get a horse that gets loose, like last year, Medina Spirit. We saw the same thing with Authentic. Some horses, sometimes the jockeys don't get aggressive in the Derby, and then someone's able to scoot away and go all the way. Epicenter from post 3, Joao Rosario. He can go to the lead if he wants to. He doesn't need the lead, but he would be one that I think from that post, if you like him, you're probably going to want to see him go right to the front and try to wire the field. Some others in here, maybe that they didn't get good posts. I think towards the outside more than anything else. I think these horses, like Zozos out in post 19, he likes to stalk the pace. He's only run 3 times. That's a tough post for him. Obviously, Ethereal Road, he's out in post 20. I don't know if that's really going to affect him. He's going to be coming from further back. But especially Zozos really stuck out there, and he likes to be up on the at least stalking the pace. And then Classic Causeway didn't draw well either. All the other speed horses are drawn inside him, so they would really have to hustle from post 17 if they expected to get to the front. And I don't think they want to do that. His stamina is a bit suspect, and he could be in trouble. Now, there's a possibility of a wet track. We'll have to see how that all plays out. There's a very good chance of thunderstorms on Kentucky Oaks Day. And then as we go through the day on Kentucky Derby, at least right now, I was looking at the hourly forecast. As we get through the day, there's a less chance as we go on. But we'll have to see. That main track at Churchill Downs does dry out pretty quick. A lot of these horses haven't run on a wet track. We have some very lightly raced runners. I'm just going to handicap the race as though looking at the form, speed figures, pace figures, late pace ratings, post positions, the race shape. I'm just going to handicap the race as I normally would and how horses are training, and then go with my top choice from there. So we're just going to zip right through these horses now. Now, if you watch my top 5 most likely Derby winners, Mo Donegal, number 1, is part of that. He's been very steady throughout his career. He's one that doesn't have a quick turn of foot, but he'll just grind away. This 1.25 mile distance will not be a problem, but he will need pace help. And like I said, he can't get shuffled back. Happy Jack, number 2, he was no threat in any of his stakes races. He was 27 lengths back behind Messier in the Robert Lewis Stakes. He was 10 lengths behind Forbidden Kingdom, Doppelganger in the San Felipe. And then in the Santa Anita Derby, he was 12 lengths behind Taiba and Messier. So he hasn't really threatened in any of his stakes races. And I can't imagine that he's going to move way forward here and make up all those lengths on the Southern California horses and then beat the other horses as well. The 3, Epicenter, I mentioned him. He's probably going to go right to the lead from this post. But he did show that he could rate in the Louisiana Derby, rating inside, and then just rolling home there. He's training well, holding his form. One concern could be that he's run in 4 consecutive point races, the Gun Runner, the Compt, Risen Star, Louisiana Derby. Can he run another big one? Well, based on the workouts, it seems like he's doing well, and especially his 5 furlong work on May 1st. Now, Steve Asmussen typically gives his horses in these bigger races a little 4 furlong easy move. That's what he did with Echo Zulu. Epicenter, they went 5 furlongs. He galloped out. He wanted to do more. So he's one that seems to be really doing well right now, and I would not be surprised if they just said, we're going to go to the lead. We have one of the horses to beat, and we know he can go at least a mile and 3/16. Play catch me if you can. Number 4 in here, Summer is Tomorrow, coming in from Dubai. And we've seen these UAE Derby horses over the years come here, and they've never been a threat. Summer is Tomorrow likes to be forwardly placed, but with horses like Epicenter and Messier and some other speed horses, I don't see how he's going to keep up with those horses. Smile Happy, number 5, he's going to have to improve, but he did run well at Churchill Downs in his second career start in the Kentucky Jockey Club Stakes. That turned out to be a productive race, and he won that one easily, stalking the pace. And then he was second in the Risen Star. That was a productive race with Epicenter and Zandon in there, and he split those two horses. And then last time he was second to Zandon in the Bluegrass, where he stalked, led, and he was run down by that one. But Zandon is the Derby favorite. Smile Happy has not done much wrong. Third start of the year. And Corey Lannery likes to ride the inside at Churchill Downs, just like Calvin Burrell. So I wouldn't be surprised if he tried to just stay in mid-pack within hailing distance and sneak up the inside and try to do something. Messier, they like to be forwardly placed with him, I'm sure. He wired the field in the Robert Lewis Stakes. That was his best career effort. He just got out there, he set the pace, and he won by 15 lengths. In the Santa Anita Derby, Forbidden Kingdom set the pace. Messier did all the pace dirty work, took the lead, and he couldn't hold off his lightly raced stablemate Taiba, but he was 10 lengths clear of Happy Jack there. A good effort, and that was his first start since February 6th. And that Santa Anita Derby was on April 9th. So now, second start after a layoff, I can see him moving forward and running a good race here. He should be part of the pace. Crown Pride, he's one that won the UAE Derby, and he won 2 other races in Japan at a mile and an eighth. So I don't think the distance is any problem for this one, and especially because he won the UAE Derby at a mile and 3/16, and he did that easily. And he's really training well at Churchill Downs. He came in early. He's training well. It's just that these UAE Derby horses haven't done anything. Now, I have used him in some of my exotics wagers. I didn't pick him on top, but I have him underneath in some exotics. Would be surprised if he won, but I would not be surprised if he outran his odds. Number 8, Charge It. I liked him in the Florida Derby. He was my top choice. He should have won that race, but he was too green. And he ended up, a white Abarrio, a more experienced horse, beat him. He had every chance to get to that one. He just could not run a straight line in the stretch. He's been training well since that race. He's only run 3 times with a win and 2 seconds. He's got a lot of ability. It's just a question of, can he get much more professional very quickly, because he can't make any mistakes like he did in the Florida Derby. Number 9, Tis the Bomb. He's one that's very classy, but he has 4 stakes wins, and 2 of those stakes wins were on turf, and 2 of those stakes wins were on all-weather ground. And his speed figures in his 3 dirt races were lower than his speed figures on turf and all-weather. So he's one that he has the class. He's won some stakes races. It's just he hasn't really done enough on dirt and run fast enough on that surface to think that he could win the Derby. Zandon, he's part of my my 5 most likely Derby winners. Training well. He hasn't done anything wrong in his 4 career starts. Obvious contender in here under Flavien Prat after mowing down Smile Happy in the Bluegrass Stakes, where he didn't get a lot of pace help. He raced in traffic. It was a good track. He won that one anyway, and he's training lights out for this. Number 11, Pioneer of Medina, Todd Pletcher trainee, a late arrival to this race. He needed some help to get in. He got that help, and now he's drawn into the body of the race. He's more of a slower speed horse. So I think a race like the Belmont Stakes suits him better, where he can just get out there and kind of gallop along near the lead. They're taking the blinkers off here. He ran okay in the Risen Star. He was 4th. In the Louisiana Derby, he was 3rd. He won an allowance race on the Lecomte undercard. So he's been steadily improving. I just don't think he's quick enough. But I would not be surprised if he finished somewhere in mid-pack. They skip the Preakness, they go in the Belmont, and he would be a contender in that race. Number 12, Taiba. He's the one, not really sure what to do. I think there's a lot of people that don't really know what we're going to get from him. He's had 2 career starts. He romped in his career debut on March 5th by more than 7 lengths. Santa Anita Derby looked like Messier was home. He ran that one down. That was his 2nd career start. He was stretching out 3 furlongs, making his stakes debut, and he was just able to win anyway. He's earned some nice speed figures on the West Coast. We'll have to see how the West Coast horses will match up with these East Coast runners. His workout, he did get a bullet workout on April 28th, but it wasn't a flashy work. He's not a flashy workhorse. So now, just in his third career start, he could catch a wet track. He drew a decent post. I think he's one that drew well. He likes to stalk outside like he did in the Santa Anita Derby. I can see him, if he can work out that kind of trip, doing something, but he's probably really going to need a clean trip. I think if anything happens, if he gets bumped around or jostled and loses position, I think he's probably going to finish up the track. But if he can get a clean stalking trip, maybe he can jump up and win. He's fast enough on paper, just doesn't have the experience. Number 13, Simplification, plenty of experience. He's run 7 times, 3 wins, a second and 2/3. He's run in all the prep races. Macho Man Stakes in his first start this year, he wired the field. Holy Bull Stakes, had a bad start, rallied to finish second. White Abarrio and Donegal were first and second. They won stakes races in their next starts, and so did Simplification in the Fountain of Youth Stakes, rallying from off the pace. The Florida Derby, he dueled on the lead. He ended up finishing third. I think they want to be more patient here. He's been really training well in his 3 works since the Florida Derby. All of those works, the clockers in Florida really like the looks of his workouts, and he's one that I wouldn't be shocked if he could at least hit the board. Barber Road, very consistent, 7 out of 8 in the top 3. He hit the board in the Arkansas Derby, the Rebel, the Southwest, the Smarty Jones, all the points races at Oaklawn Park. The only problem, the Oaklawn Park points races were slower than a lot of the other points races across the country, and Barber Road is going to have to run faster, but he really does try hard. White Abarrio won both of his starts last year at Gulfstream Park, and he won both of his starts this year at Gulfstream Park. His only career loss, Grade 3 Kentucky Jockey Club Stakes. He was a well-beaten third behind Smile Happy and Classic Causeway. They were both next out stakes winners. And then White Abarrio was a next out stakes winner in the Holy Bull. That was a productive race. And then he won the Florida Derby too. In those 2 races, outer posts, outside stalking trip, pounced on the leaders, and got the jump on the closers. He's going to try to do the same thing in this spot for post 15. Number 16, Cyberknife. He's one that he couldn't put it together mentally early in his career. He was disqualified in his debut, then he finished second in his second start, and then he did break his maiden in his third start, but then they threw him in the Lecomte Stakes. He wasn't ready for stakes company. He wasn't professional at all in that race. He made a premature move. He was 6 beaten 10 lengths. Then he finally put it all together mentally and physically. A confidence-boosting optional claiming victory at a mile and the 16th on February 19th. And then he followed that up with a victory in the Arkansas Derby. He's had a great trip behind the speed, and he's improving. He's training well. It's just that the Arkansas horses weren't that strong this year. At least it doesn't appear that way. He'll probably stalk wide. Number 17, Classic Causeway. He really was a no-show in the Florida Derby after winning the Sam F. Davis and Tampa Bay Derby in wire-to-wire fashion. And then in the Florida Derby, he set the pace. He quit early. They weren't going to run him in the Derby. They changed their mind. Now they are running him in the Derby. He's going to be a pace factor. I think he can hang in there for a little while, but I don't think he's going to be around at the end. Tawny Port, number 18. I think he's better on all-weather ground. He won his first 2 races on all-weather ground, and then he was 5th in the Risen Star Stakes, beaten 7 lengths in a 10-horse field there. And some of the top horse finishers in that race are solid contenders here. And then in the Jeff Ruby Stakes, he was 2nd as my top choice behind Tiz the Bomb. And then last time out in the Lexington Stakes, moving over to the main track, he won that one rallying from off the pace, but his speed figure dropped. So his speed figures are better on all-weather ground, and I think that he's probably up against it from post 18. From post 19, Zozos is probably up against it for Brad Cox, winning his first 2 starts. At 6 furlongs, he stalked, he won. Second time out, he stretched out. He relaxed from second from an outer post. He won by 10. His third career start, the Louisiana Derby, he was the surprise pace setter. Epicenter was expected to take the lead. Zozos did. He hung in there, but he could not go with Epicenter late. Epicenter was clearly best. He was clearly second best there. Pioneer of Medina third. So Zozos with only 3 starts, post 19. I can't imagine he's going to get any kind of good trip stalking the pace from way out there. And then number 20, Ethereal Road for trainer Dwayne Lucas. Really looked good in his maiden win. Well, that was in January, where he just came from nowhere and the pace wasn't quick, and he just ran away with that one. Then they jumped him into the Rebel Stakes and he ran well there. He stalked, he led, and then he finished second. And then in the Bluegrass and the Lexington, especially the Bluegrass, he was no threat. And in the Lexington, he was 4th, beaten 3 lengths. He's going to have to run. I think that he's going to have to run much better, but I think they're going to just need to do what they did in his maiden win. Sit back, try to make a late run, hope the pace heats up. Maybe he can pass some tired horses, maybe finish 4th or 5th. Rich Strike isn't the first, also eligible, and he looks overmatched in here after a third in the Jeff Ruby Stakes. He's been on all-weather ground most recently. And then number 22, Rattle and Roll. He won the Breeders' Futurity last year easily. Hasn't done anything since then, and the Breeders' Futurity did not turn out to be such a productive race. So that's the field for the Kentucky Derby. I mentioned what I thought about the post positions. I mentioned my thoughts on the wet track, and now I will give out my top choice. And my top choice is not going to surprise anybody. It's number 10, Zandon. He was my most likely Kentucky Derby winner. I still think that. Nothing he's doing is changing my mind. He won his career debut at 6 furlongs, stalking the pace. His second start in the Remsen, not easy to go from 6 furlongs to a mile and an eighth, but as a 2-year-old, and he did that. And he stalked, and he just gave Mo Donegal, a more experienced horse, everything he could handle. And as my top choice there, Zandon missed by a nose. He was well clear of the rest. And we know the Remsen was a key race because Mo Donegal and Zandon have both won big races, the Bluegrass and the Wood Memorial. The Risen Star Stakes was his first start this year. Hopped at the start, made a nice sustained run from last place to finish third there. It was just a good solid effort for his first start this year. And then last time out, that was in the Bluegrass Stakes on a good track. He just mowed them down there. An excellent effort. That was a big forward move. He has 3 9-furlong races under his belt. He's got those 4 starts. I like that. And then the fact that 3 of those starts were at a mile and an eighth. I think he's the only horse in this field that really overcame anything. In that Bluegrass Stakes, running in traffic, slow pace, off track, rallying and winning anyway. And I think he's got a very big chance. He's training lights out for this race. And if he gets any kind of pace help, he could certainly get the job done. I would not expect him to be rallying from 20th. I think that Flavien Prat might ride him the way he did Country House, where he put that horse who was a big closer into the race earlier in that Kentucky Derby, and he was placed first through this qualification. I think Zandon's going to be within hailing distance, and I think that he's just going to grind away in the stretch, and he has that electric turn of foot, and I think that he can just run past these and win the Kentucky Derby. So Zandon will be my top choice in the Kentucky Derby. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you like this content. That will wrap up this video. If you're interested in my full card analysis for Kentucky Derby Day, head on over to the runawayhorse.com. You will find that on my sales page, and that will wrap up my look at the Kentucky Derby. Good luck Kentucky Derby Day, and good luck at the races.